Alrighty, Breya, game number 3 against IOK. Although this time, as I said before, he switched commanders. Instead of the Animar of the Elements, he is now running Elsha of the Infinite. Brand new Jeskai commander. I think it's been around too long. I think only a handful of months. Certainly came out during the pandemic. And man, this thing is a powerhouse, honestly. I don't think it's quite good enough to the point where I feel inspired to make a deck around it. Given that I feel like it's probably still objectively worse than Breya, given the lack of flexibility. And the fact that you don't get access to black is a really big deal because you don't get the black tutors. But man, it is so strong when you get it into play. The fact that you can just play anything that's not a creature off the top of your deck, so all of the mana accelerators, it's basically just like having a future sight on demand. And if anything is true about good commanders, they satisfy that criteria of having card advantage built into them. Breya, of course, doesn't draw cards directly, but can create very powerful virtual card advantage through the use of the Thopters. Many different ways to do that, and certainly just in controlling the board. But yeah, this thing's been problematic. I've definitely had some really tough games against it. Won a large majority of them, but some of them have been extremely tough, and it's obviously very scary if your opponent's able to play it. It's kind of in the same category as Kess, I guess, and just a threatening thing that can just sometimes get out and utterly wreck you. I think I'm actually going, yeah, looking at my hand right here, I don't have triple black. I do have Wooded Foothills getting me Badlands, but I don't have an easy source of black. But I've got blue, red, black here, Dak Faden, of course, Necro coming online later, and I've got white and black, so Vindicate. Whole hand works with the exception of Necro, and this is definitely worth keeping, particularly because just having Dak Faden early and Vindicate makes you a hell of a lot more resilient against fast mana draws, which can kind of tend to spiral out of control, particularly with a commander like Elsha. So definitely keeping this hand, and we'll see what happens. Mystic Monastery, about the best land. Seems to go well with a very monk-looking thing there. All right, just want to kind of draw a fetch land here. If not, I expect, well, I guess we'll see what I do. Probably play the Mystic Sanctuary first unless I draw another land. Demonic Tutor, all right. So I'm just going to play that, and that's going to allow me to Vampiric Tutor. And I figure I can probably just go get a Mox Diamond for a turn 2 Dak Faden here, throwing away the Mystic Sanctuary. And that's, I believe that's what I'm going to do with the Vampiric Tutor. I got to be careful, though, of course, about using tutors at all against the deck with a lot of blue mana untapped. But fortunately, he saves me the trouble by casting a Cold Steel Heart. And he names blue. And this is a delicious... Remember I was talking about how good black is in Breya? This is such a good example of that. So end of turn... Sack Wooded Foothills, go get Badlands, Vampiric Tutor. Let's get a little gander at the deck there. I had the deck list up in a game before, but if you want to take a quick look at what all of my options were, I pretty much said what I was going to do anyway, though, and that's getting Mox Diamond, which is just perfect. Allows me to throw away the Mystic Sanctuary, which isn't doing anything for ages anyway, and gets me Dak Faden turn 2. So brutal. Down comes the Diamond. Very nice. I mean, there really aren't too many more backbreaking plays than turn 2 Dak Faden stealing an artifact. That is just such a powerhouse. Unfortunately, he didn't name black with Cold Steel Heart, so I'm still a little ways off from casting Necro. But I've already got 2 black sources, and Demonic Tutor can get the 3rd, depending on what happens. Pretty damn good. Baral, Chief of Compliance. That's fine. And he's got a Gitaxian Probe, so he gets to see what I've got here. All right. So lots of options here. I can definitely just slam Breya against Baral, and Breya just shuts down Elsha right out of the gate. Just such an example of how strong the card is. And I believe I've got all the colors. Blue, white, black, red. Yeah, totally fine. Verdant Catacombs, that means I'm definitely going to... And there's the 3rd black mana. But this 1 blue mana untapped along with Baral means I don't feel safe in just slamming Necro here. So I'm going to have to wait a little bit. I'm going to draw first. I get Wasteland and Fierce Guardianship. Ooh, juicy. All right, well, decide that I don't need the Vindicate anymore, given the fact that I'm just going to go after his mana here. All right, so he adds blue. I can attack. Any Mystical Tutors. Interesting. All right, we'll see what he goes to get. There's an Impulse. That's definitely sure sign that my opponent is definitely gimped on mana. And this is beautiful here because I've got Fierce Guardianship in hand, and it's going to allow me to force through Demonic Tutor into a black mana source and then cast Necro with Fierce Guardianship. It's just so good. Just amazing. All right, so he's going to Impulse. And I actually decided that I Fierce Guardianship that. I feel like If he's impulsing, he definitely doesn't have any more land in play, since that was definitely a desperation play. And unless he's got a 2-mana counter in, or a 1 blue 1 generic mana counter in hand, something like Mana Leak or Remand or Miscalculation or something, then I'm definitely going to be able to resolve this anyway. And may have been a little bit greedy. Maybe just let him impulse there, and then I can just go Demonic Tutor, Necro, and back it up with Fierce Guardianship. But I feel like this play is probably even better, because then I don't even need to worry about casting Fierce Guardianship to defend my spell if he has no mana, which is kind of a nice little thing. Obviously, the timing of the spell matters a lot, and I'd much rather just get Fierce Guardianship to do something impactful, like preventing him from getting land, than to try to push through a spell, which I'd just be able to cast anyway through Inevitability. But he discards Cyclonic Rift, and I'm going to be able to Arcane. Yeah, and there's another land for him, and that comes into play tapped. So feeling pretty comfy here. I get to draw a bunch of cards off Arcane Denial. Yes, I'll draw 2. Shackles, very nice. Oh, and Ponder too. Oh my god, look at all this good stuff. All right, I can just throw away a land, and I think the Mana Vault. Thinking about this here. Yeah, ultimately decide that I don't need the Ponder, since Misty will get an Underground Sea. And I decide that what I'd really like to do here is just steal the Brawl. This allows me to cast Demonic Tutor if need be, and I get Mana Leak. And Mana Leak plus Necro is going to allow me to just push through my next turn, but he's seen the Mana Leak. Smash for 6. Just so fortified here behind the Brawl. Soul Ring. All right. I certainly gave some thought to Mana Leaking that, but I've got a Deck Faden in play, just waiting in the wings to gobble it up. I'm going to see what he plays here. Smothering Tithe. Huh. Well, I've got lots of mana available to just pay this, but seeing as how he has no sources of red at all, and I kind of don't really want to mess around with Smothering Tithe, I decided that this is the card to Mana Leak. And he doesn't know it's coming, but the fact that he's tapped out, I've got Deck Faden to steal his Soul Ring. I'm going to play Necro with a basically empty hand, and this game is over. 2-1 with the Breya deck. 1 game against the Animar deck. 1 game against the mighty Elsha of the Infinite. But, yeah, it's funny, actually. I haven't drawn either of the... actually, no, I take that back. Of course I haven't drawn any of the... this is the Citadel version of this deck. I don't have the Tome or the Theft card in here. But I did play a whole bunch of games with both of those cards in my deck, and I've got some games coming up that showcase them. So stay tuned for those. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. I just wanted to get these games recorded because they were played back in October. And what I've found is that a lot of these games don't tend to stick around. The replays just get corrupted after a while. So more to come. Hope you guys enjoyed that one. See you soon.